Let's bring in Martin Biron now. And Marty, let's start with William Nylander. He was finally back and he was playing well. And now this, and Craig Berube said he didn't know if it would be long-term, short-term. So what would you say is the impact of losing Nylander again, not knowing how long it'll be for?
Yeah, obviously, if it is long-term, it's a disaster because I know that there's been some ups and downs with William Nylander this season, but he's still one of the better, if not one of the best, winger in the National Hockey League. So you got to consider that when you have him on your lineups. If it's short-term, I feel like this may be kind of a bit of a wake-up call for the rest of the lineup and saying somebody has to step up and fill in William Nylander's shoes and be able to elevate their game, and maybe everybody gets out of this in a better place, and then you add Nylander in a little bit and you say no, and we're kind of adding a bonus now. But obviously short term, I think you can manage, and the Leafs are playing really well now that you can say, okay, like we can do short term without Nylander, but long term, if he was gone for months, maybe even going into March and April, with how tight the Atlantic Division is and the Eastern Conference is, it would be a disaster because you need everybody to be able to produce at the level of expectation or above. So obviously we don't know yet, but I think short term this could be a good thing for the Leafs to kind of wake up and get going.
Okay. And then there's Anthony Stolarz. His last game was November 11th, and we finally got the update today saying that he's been dealing with that nerve issue. He's got a few more practices to go. What's going to be the impact of his looming return?
Well, if Anthony Stolarz can get back to the level that he played last season, I think it's going to be a huge impact for the Toronto Maple Leafs because they would regain their tandem. Woll is playing really well, and Stolarz at that level that he played last year, they were one of the, if not the top tandem in the National Hockey League. So you would get that if he's finally healthy. It hasn't been a good season for Stolarz. In that, it wasn't playing well. The injuries, obviously, that's a concern. But if you know that he's healthy, now you can go back with Stolarz and Woll. But that's interesting because now what do you do with Dennis Hildeby? He has played so well to say he's an NHL goaltender. And there is a bunch of teams right now that have three goalies that are going to want to move one of them. And if you're the Leafs and you're looking at adding a piece, maybe you dangle Hildeby out there and you say, hey, you know what? We're confident in Stolarz and his health. We're confident in Woll and his health. And we can maybe move on from Hildeby. So I think this will be interesting. You got to make sure that Stolarz is 100% and he has a few starts. But don't keep the three goalie monster too long. And maybe you can get something positive out of, Hildeby and the way that he played.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have options there in goaltending. Now, the Leafs do sit 9th in the Eastern Conference standings, just 2 points back of the final wild card spot.